A new survey shows an alarming number of service workers being assaulted on the job by people who refuse to follow mask guidelines. So now this comes from a survey of employers from the Service Employees International Union. And they talked to about 4,187 McDonald's workers. And they talked, and the union shared this with Business Insider. And they found in the survey that about 44% of respondents said they had been verbally or physically assaulted after confronting customers who were not wearing masks, these anti maskers, right? So, in a lot of states, especially when seeing huge increases in coronavirus cases, you've got governors or mayors of cities that are implementing mask guidelines. In some cases, businesses have to have mandatory masks in order to enter a business, or they do leave it up to the discretion of the business, which in a lot of cases for these big corporations, Walmart's the latest example, saying that we require that all of our customers wear a mask inside the store. So now, in places where there isn't, of course, as I said, those companies set those policies and they expect the workers to carry out that policy, which leads to some confrontations. It puts a lot of service workers at risk of violence and harassment from people that are, angry at being temporarily inconvenienced by masks. Now, they said that while the SEIU only surveyed a small proportion of the chain's more than 800,000 employees in the US, 44% of respondents alone represent about 1,800 employees who say they've been assaulted on the job over masks. That's an insane amount of people. And again, they only surveyed 4,000 people. What if they surveyed 200,000 people? I wonder if that 44% would hold up. I don't know. Even if it's a quarter, you could have 50,000 people that have been assaulted for, asking others to wear masks. And so the numbers, again, what I just said was not entirely scientific. But nonetheless, could you imagine? That'd be a lot of people assaulted for asking others to wear masks. It's insane that we have 1,800 people that have been assaulted for this. And of course, you can see it reflected in videos where people are refusing to wear their masks. They verbally harass and sometimes, again, physically assault workers that are just doing their jobs. It's not like they have a choice. One McDonald's worker who was assaulted at work is Maria Resendiz, who visited the hospital in late June after being grabbed and hit by an anti-mask customer through a drive-through window in Oakland, California. In Illinois, Maria Villasenor recently filed a complaint with the Chicago Department of Public Health after seeing a McDonald's coworker attacked by a customer that she had asked to wear a mask. Now, she told Business Insider, quote, "Throughout this pandemic, McDonald's has failed to protect us from COVID-19. Now it's asking us to police a culture war that's not in our job description and that we're not paid to do." That's very important. She's got a great point. Mask, look, as much as, we can lament this, right? And I do all the time. Masks are a culture war issue now. I mean, it's insane that they are, but they are. Wearing a mask is now seen by many as a tacit approval or disapproval of Donald Trump himself. How did we get to this point? I mean, it's a cult of personality. And here's the thing, right? There's probably a decent chunk of Trump supporters that still wear their masks. And there are many young people who would be considered to be liberal, Democrats, whatever, or just non-politically affiliated, non-interested in politics, that don't wear their masks. So that's interesting, right? And so really it's a small, tiny fraction of people who buy into the conspiracies that masks are like some sort of nefarious deep state effort to control you. I mean, it's insane, right? This is misinformation that is spread by the right wing conspiracy groups. They spread it online using memes, and just, and also just like the aversion to being temporarily inconvenienced comes from the right wing. And that's who's spreading this disinformation. But it's a workers' right issue now. Not only in McDonald's, and not only are McDonald's workers and other fast food and grocery store workers being attacked, right? I mean, you have people, everybody who's an essential worker has had to deal with this at least once or twice. They're put at risk of the nature of their jobs, not only being attacked, but also just being exposed. All while many of them in the lower income spectrums do not have insurance to their jobs and still get paid minimum wage. There's no hazard pay here. These workers have been abandoned. They make less than people getting the $600 unemployment benefit. Now, of course, the solution here isn't to take away that $600. No, but to ensure that essential workers get paid at least a living wage. Now, McDonald's, of course, pushed back on this. And here's them in a statement to Business Insider. They said that it was disappointing to see the SEIU stirring up media attention yet again with inaccurate characterizations, which do not represent what is happening in our 14,000 restaurants across the country. This survey represents just 0.5% of the more than 800,000 crew and managers within our McDonald's family working across your U.S. restaurants. While the SEIU is spending time sharing misinformation, McDonald's and our 2,000 franchisees are focused on keeping crew and managers employed in safe environments to serve healthcare workers, first responders, and communities during this pandemic. Wow, that is a lot of nothing. A lot of bullshit corporate speak that doesn't even address the complaint. It was, hey, there's a lot of people that are being assaulted at work for, basically enforcing the rules that you have handed down. How are you going to fix that? How are you going to help us? And the answer was, the problem doesn't exist. Fake news. How dare you spread misinformation? It's real. Just because the survey size is fairly small, right? It doesn't mean it's not happening, that it doesn't exist. And maybe you should do something about it. It's not like the mask requirements are sure to go away soon. I mean, we're over 3 million coronavirus cases across the country, and there's no sign, it shows no sign of stopping. If you're going to be in business, this is a reality that you're going to have to deal with, and you better figure out a way to deal with it, because you cannot leave these workers to fend for themselves. I mean, look, it's only going to take one viral encounter of a McDonald's worker being assaulted and then testing positive for COVID-19 and possibly dying to put the company in the hot seat. Do you really want to deal with that, McDonald's? You want to deal with the fallout? You want to deal with being boycotted and canceled? If you don't, maybe you ought to help your workers. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a patreon.com/TYTNation set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.